Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We are at day 3, Herb English. We are here, my brother. Day 3. We at the hump day, as they like to say back in the day. I'm just going to reflect for a couple of minutes, if you would allow me to think back to day 1 and day 2.
Please do. Please do.
Day 1 was so powerful. We began by looking at this idea of Black serving institution and the rise. It just, I can't, there's some sounds that still echo in my ears from Dr. Bush laying it down at the end of that session, reminding us what we were here for, that they keep trying to erase us, but we keep rising up, Herb English. That's what I remember from day 1. Some amazing speakers on that panel that included Sonny Cook, that included Dr. King Jr., that included Dr. Stout from the Achieving the Dream, and Dr. Juan Salgado from the Chicago Community College. Just powerful speakers. And our own California Obama Black family, Dr. Frank Harris III and Dr. Tina King. We just want to give shout out to Monday's amazing group of folks who helped us to kick this day off. And then yesterday, Herb, what we talking here? It was powerful, brother.
Yeah, we're talking about Black Serving Institution designation. We're talking about funding to go with that
Honey,
designation. So Dr. BJ Snowden, Dr. Gina Garcia just laid the groundwork for us. But if I can go back just to Monday, one thing stood out to me after everything that you said.
go for it.
Juan Delgado said, students got to feel you.
Gotta feel you. That's what he said.
Students got to feel you or they don't believe you.
Hmm, come
When
on
he
now.
said that, it just pierced me. And then today, I am so happy. As you know, Helen, me and you usually we facilitate a panel of students over the last
Yes.
4 or 5 years, and
Yes.
we have a student that's going to be kicking us off today. From San Diego, and I'm so happy about that.
And listen, I got a chance to preview the background on this amazing student, Herb. When we hear a story, come on now, come on now.
Yes, yes.
If your friends aren't already in this session, you better text them, you better call them, you better have them to join us. Today is going to be powerful. Trust us when we tell you.
And
Today,
real quick, Helen, real quick, for all the people that are on right now, text somebody on your campus, tell them to get on, tell them to get engaged for Black Student Success Week. We are at the midway point Wednesday, and we want more and more people to jump on today.
just a reminder, we are your originals, your OG Black Student Success Week, right?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Some new schools trying to roll up in here. You know, they trying to bring a little something, something, but you know, oh geez, we know what we doing, right? But
We wake up ready.
we wake up, we ain't got to get ready.
We don't got to get ready.
But they doing a pretty good job. We got to keep an eye on them, Herb.
I have to
Good
admit,
job, man.
oh my God, look
Oh
at
no,
this
no,
guy.
he didn't come in here with that.
Listen,
Oh my God.
I saw your hat game is vicious. I gotta tip my cap to you, and I just felt a little insecure. This one's not gonna do it, but it gave me a chance to rep the LBCC. I will say that, we all respect the originals. I'm in marketing and public affairs, as you know. And in the 22 immutable laws of marketing, which I keep on my shelf, the number one rule is be first. You know what I mean? There's no substitute for the original. But the number two rule, if you can't be first, is be best. And so it's good to see you, Dr. Pilar. Welcome, new school. We know the original airplane was done by the Wright brothers, but welcome. We got jet engines over here in the new school.
Well, ours is gonna stay up in the air. We know that. I'm just saying.
We're gonna flap together and fly together.
You got it, brother. Well, we're gonna turn it over to Pilar, who's gonna give y'all a bit of just reminders and get us going this afternoon. Thanks, team.
Yeah, thank you. And Carl, you want to give a quick shout out to some of our sponsors real quick before I get started?
I absolutely do. Look at all these beautiful sponsors.
Yeah.
Look at them and appreciate them for their contributions to this important event. We could not do it without you. San Diego Community College, the Community College of Los Angeles, the whole district, Allen Hancock College, the preeminent Compton College from whence this thing was born, the Keenan Company, building buildings, but also building community and building success in the Black community with their sponsorship here, San Bernardino Valley College, the Asian Pacific Americans in higher education. We love a good ally. Thank you for your sponsorship. Lieber, Cassidy, and Whitmore. Never know when you're going to need good representation, and it sounds like they can give it to you. Of course, the one and only Long Beach City College, Miracosta College, Moore Park College, Mount Sac, and the RP Group. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. We couldn't do it without you. We know that because of you, just as in past years, today's student speakers will be receiving a $1,000 scholarship And all of this week's faculty speakers will be receiving a $500 honorarium, thanks in large part to your generosity. Thank you so much, sponsors.
Yeah, thank you. And so I do want to give a shout out to our watch party. So right now in the chat, please rep your college. Which watch parties are at the house with us today? We appreciate you. We love each and every one of y'all. But watch, if you're joining by a watch party, I want you to make sure that you scan the QR code to make sure that you fill out your attendance, because we want you to register. You want to win something, right? All right, we want to know that you're here. Also, we'll be dropping links in the chat to the events that are going to happen after today's events, as well as some resources throughout the webinar. So keep an eye out and scan the QR code. And with that, do we have that QR code up so we can make sure that they have that too? And that's going to be your one-stop shop resource with all the information, all the ways to connect with us online and register for the Black Hour and the Student Hour webinars and the Sneaker Ball event happening this Friday, April 25th. So as I'm saying this, that slide is going to show up so you can see those QR codes. So once we get to that slide, I want to make sure you all can scan that. And so there they are, right there. You scan that QR code so you can get all of that information. And last but not least, let's go over today's agenda. So as the agenda shows right now, we have our opening remarks by the Dr. Sujin Jez, CEO of California Competes. We also will have a student conversation featuring an amazing student, Ruth DeRice here from former San Diego College of Continuing Education, but also attends Mesa College as a student and healthcare professional. Amazing. And then we have our industry executives panel discussion that's going to be represented with leaders from across the state in healthcare, IT, and construction trades. So without further ado, it's my honor and most pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Soonjin Jez, the CEO of California Competes. Welcome, Dr. Jez.
Yeah. Hey. Oh, so happy to be here, and I hope I can keep the energy up. What a great intro. What great energy. I feel like watching the folks in the chat, I have to give a shout out to my folks at Solano Community College, is my home community college. I grew up in Fairfield. Also, I saw a lot of our partners, El Camino College, Compton College. I'm also now in the region for Contra Costa College, is my home college now. And I saw some folks from our partners at Young Invincibles. And the chat was flying by, but I'm loving all the chat, and I wish I was at a watch party right now. But I'm gonna do a little bit of setting the stage with some research here. I'm gonna jump in with some one of our favorite tools, our dashboard, and share some of the state of opportunity across California, particularly for Black Californians. I'm going to share some newly released research around internships and equity in internships. And then I'm going to give a sneak preview of some research that has not yet been released, that will be released next week, around the return on investment for higher education, and look at some uneven opportunity and ROI in our state. So before I get jumping to the research, I do want to share a little bit. Some of you might be wondering who's California Competes. So let me talk a little bit about who we are. So we are a policy research and advocacy organization, and we really focus on trying to solve our state's most pressing social and economic problems by conducting rigorous higher education and workforce policy research. We use that research then to guide decision makers, like policymakers, higher ed leaders, in designing and implementing solutions that strengthen our economy and help our communities thrive. So as you can see on this slide, we believe that higher education is both a vaccine and an antidote against economic stagnation and social stratification for individual Californians, our communities, and the state's economy. We believe that long-term economic growth for California will be accomplished through shared prosperity. Frankly, our economy requires more equitable opportunities. So how do we do this? We have four main policy priorities. In no particular order, they're all my favorite children. We have college access and success for adults. So increasing college access and success for adult learners, especially with those with some college and no credential, who number over 6 million in our state, we see them as a key part of the solution to meeting our state's workforce needs. We also see aligning higher education and workforce to build stronger relationships and better pathways for students to well-paying jobs. We should realize today that the number one reason why Californians are going to college is to get a better labor market outcome, a better job, make more money. So how do we help them deliver on that? And then agile and innovative higher education, promoting agility and innovation higher education with effective technology enhanced learning models, the smart and ethical use of artificial intelligence, and clear cost structures. California is the global leader in technology, and we think it should be also leveraged to make higher ed more accessible, increase quality, increase success of students too. And last but not least, we think a lot about how do we coordinate policy setting and implementation so that we are, our students, Californians, don't live in a specific policy silo, like just higher education. We are students, we are workers, we need to leverage the social safety net to make our lives better. So how do we center the individual Californian as we set policy and as we implement policy? And then our strategies for doing that are four main ones. One, I mentioned research. So the focus of our research efforts are at the intersection of higher education, equity, and the economy. We also advocate. So we don't just put information out there and hope someone acts on it. We take our research, we identify policy solutions, and then we work with leaders who is the right person to make these changes, to actually make these changes. And we also make sure these changes get implemented. So it's not just getting a bill passed, but now that bill's passed, how do we actually make sure that gets implemented with fidelity? Because we know that even the most prominent, well understood, well known laws, oftentimes we don't follow. And so for a lot of the ones that are more complicated, which I think are the ones that are increasingly needed in our state, are even harder to implement. So we work closely with our partners to make sure they're able to implement and they have what they need to successfully implement. And towards this work, we convene. So we don't do this work alone. So one way we do that is we convene experts in higher education, we convene students, we convene everyone that needs to be at the table to help us think through what are the right solutions and how do we best implement them, and then see how are things going and what needs to change next. And that relates to our last sort of part of our strategy, and that's partnering. So as I mentioned, we partner with institutions, we partner with cities, counties, student orgs, you name it, whoever we see that wants to be at the table and help us think through what needs to happen for our state. And before I jump into more of the research and sort of why I'm here at California Competes is this work is very personal to me. I was a first-gen college student. I went to college. I didn't really know what that meant or sort of where it got me. I didn't know what jobs there were after I got a college degree. I literally knew nobody except for my older brother, who was the one before me, that had went to college or graduated from college. So it was a whole new world. So when California Competes is focused on tightening this alignment between higher education and work, I think a lot about my experience and the experience of my family, my friends, my community around what we had to grapple with so that it's more seamless for students today as they're making, taking these steps towards a better life. Great. So let's talk a little bit about the research. So one of my favorite things that California Competes puts out is what we call our California Post-Secondary to Prosperity Dashboard. And as you can see, there's the URL, and I encourage everyone to go to it. It's P2P, Post-Secondary to Prosperity, .californiacompetes.org. And we created this dashboard because it was so hard to find really basic fundamental facts around opportunity in our state. And a lot harder than it should be. So in building this, we weave together 12 different data sources, and it has over 300,000 data points to really help folks understand what they want to understand about opportunity in the state, in their region, in their county. And so I'm going to take us to that website, hopefully successfully, and show you a couple of key data points. And I'm doing this to highlight both the data points, but also the website, because I really encourage everyone to bookmark this, save it, go to it, dig into it. It's, I'm a little biased, but it is very cool. All right, let's see if I can get this up. All right, hopefully you guys now see the actual website. So this is the homepage of the website. And on the homepage, we have the map of California, its counties, and the regions. And at the very bottom, we've curated some key state stats. So if you want to see opportunity broken down by geographic location. So for this first one, I'm just clicking on, it says 50.7% of high school graduates completed the required courses for UC-CSU admissions, AKA A to G requirements. And you can see on this heat map that this is pretty unevenly distributed across the state around who completes these A to G requirements. Spoiler alert, this is true for pretty much every metric. So let's go into some of the data. So if you click on this statewide data, it takes us now to look at statewide data. You could also click on any one of these regions if you want to go to that specific region's data. All right. Hopefully my internet is going to allow this to happen. Oh, darn. Okay. So what we're going to try instead, my internet's very slow. Maybe it'll allow us to go to a region. I'm going to pick, let's pick the Bay Area because that's where I am. So I'm going to pick the Bay Area and see if this will load. If not, we can just jump through. It's not loading for me. All right, well, we'll just jump forward into the other research we have, but I encourage folks to log on to p2p.californiacompetes.org and check out the data. I will flag that a lot of the data is very interactive. So if you hover over, the hovering is working, you can see comparisons. So for this one around A to G completion, you can see the statewide average is 50.7%. You can see for Alameda County, it's 57.3%, and you can compare it to the highest and lowest counties in our state. So the highest being Marin County at nearly 71%, and the lowest being in Trinity County at 7.1%. So we try to make everything very interactive. So click on a bar, it should open up to disaggregations, hover over a bar, and you can see comparisons with other regions or counties. And we also have other tools that allow you to download the data, to share a link to the data. And if you go to our website, you can watch a tutorial. I'm also happy my email will be shared and you can sort of see it there. Oh, looks like gateway timeout. Oh. Okay, well, let's go back to the PowerPoint slides. Great. All right. So fortunately, we have a lot of other research to share with you. So I want to share with you a study that we released a little while ago that looks at equity in paid and unpaid internships. So internships we've seen as one of the sort of best practices that we have that allow students to build the readiness for careers. And also, we also see students that complete internships have higher earnings and greater levels of career satisfaction. But fewer than 1 in 3 college students actually complete a paid internship. So we dug in to understand this better. So we found that while Black students in California participate in internships overall at the same rate as overall undergraduate population, they participate in paid internships at lower rates than their white and Asian peers. This is important because we see the biggest gains, the biggest benefits to having an internship go to those with a paid internship. In addition to, obviously, it's better to get paid while you're learning and working than not to get paid. So this is something we really think the state could do better around and something that we're doing advocacy around too to help us make sure that internships are integrated into students' programs of study. So it's not on the student to find the internship and then figure out that relationship with the employer, but also to ensure those internships are paid. And we will have more research around this coming out later this year, so stay tuned for that. I also mentioned I was going to hit on the return on investment. So we have an analysis on the return of college students' investments coming out in the next week, and I'm excited to preview some of the findings. Okay, but first, what do we mean by return on investment? So methods folks, listen up. The rest of you that are good with the concept, it's okay. You can just take a moment and sort of wait this out for this minute. So in our context for the methods folks, return on investment represents the added value of a college degree minus educational expenses. So by the added value, we look at of a college degree, it's the amount college graduates earn above what a typical high school graduate does. So if you go to college, how much more are you going to make than if you hadn't gone to college? We estimate this over a 10-year period. And then for educational expenses, they're calculated based on the net price of attendance, or what students are paying, tuition and fees, books, living expenses minus grant aid, and they multiply this by 4 for a bachelor's degree or 2 for an associate's degree. And college graduates whose earnings premium, the amount they earn above what a high school student graduate earns, is high enough to cover their educational expenses, is deemed to have a positive ROI, right? A good return on investment. However, we're seeing, research is beginning to reveal that these dividends are not equally distributed even after 10 years in the workforce. AKA, not every college graduate realizes a positive ROI. So what we're looking at here is, among those with bachelor's degrees, Black Californians attain a positive ROI, overwhelmingly 75%. But we see it's a little bit lower than the state total and a little bit lower than many groups. We see something similar when we look at associate's degree attainment. So slight differences, also slight differences, more dramatic differences between genders here, that Black male associate's degree holders have a slightly more likely to have a positive RI than those that do not. And I want to flag here that this should not be taken as a, is college worth it or not conversation. We know that college is worth it. What we are going to be digging into further is, what about the cost of college piece? Do we need to be doing more to that for students, particularly Black students, Latinx students, you could see here also. Also, we know that major choice matters. We know that Black students tend to go into majors and careers that don't pay as well, but are really important to communities and society, like education. But we also don't want to discourage people from becoming educators, right? We have a shortage right now. So what this analysis we really want people to understand and think about is, we need to do more to think deeply around how we support students, particularly Black students, to ensure the investment that they're making, that we are making in higher education, is paying off, particularly when those investments are for the good of our society, like training educators. I will pause there. There will be more on that next week. And through the coming year, we will be digging into this analysis further to help policymakers make sure that this return on investment works for more Californians, because we do need more Californians to complete college and contribute to our workforce. Here's my contact info. Happy to take any questions, email me, thoughts. I welcome them all. And I'll be hopping on to chat after this to respond to folks.
Thank you, Dr. Jinsu. You are just amazing. That information is powerful. I hope folks got a chance to really kind of begin to digest it, but you're going to need some more time. So definitely stay connected to her so that you can continue to digest. Now we are at one of the parts that I love the absolute most. We got a student, y'all. We got a student. This story is going to blow many of you away. It's a story of resilience. So let me get started here. Ruth DeRice embodies the best of San Diego Advance, a San Diego College of Continuing Education non-credit to credit alignment initiative, guiding students in researching their academics and their career goals by providing clear and seamless pathways to degree or certificate programs. Just weeks, I want y'all to hear me, y'all, pay attention. Just weeks after DeRice ended a journey that began when she fled her native Haiti, as it fell further into lawlessness and offered little more than a daily struggle for survival, she enrolled in a non-credit ESL program at San Diego College of Continuing Ed at Cesar Chavez, a campus in the Barrio Logan, to improve her English. Not more than a few months later, she was taking non-credit certified nursing assistant courses while charting a new career in the States. And just days after passing her state exam, come on, y'all, become a licensed CNA, she was working full-time as a nursing assistant at Scripps Mercy Hospital in San Diego. I am honored to introduce and have a conversation with none other than Ruth DeRice. Welcome, Ruth. We are glad to have you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody.
What what a powerful story you have. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, a little bit more about your background?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruth Therese. I am from Haiti. I moved to the United States not more than 1 year ago. So when I arrived to the United States, I get started at San Diego College of Continuing Education, where life wasn't easy either
Hmm.
back home, but I got started because I have to do something for myself and for my community. So I start at continuing education as an ESL student to take English class. But after that, this is where my journey truly began because I met amazing teachers, amazing counselors who believe in me, who helped me to go further in my journey. So after taking I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't rushed because I want to do everything at the same time. So I met one of my teacher. She told me, Ruth, take your time because you just came to the United States. We have a lot to do, but just take your time. What I did, so I get started as a ESL student, and after that, I took the VESL class. It's an English class for healthcare
Mhm.
professional. So after taking the VESL class, I went further and took the CNA program at Cesar Chavez campus. And one day after I had to pass my state exam, I am one of the first immigrant from Haiti who passed the state exam
Oh,
to get
now.
my license. And 3 days later, I applied at Scripps Mercy of San Diego, where I am right now working as a patient care assistant and doing my direct hands-on patient care. So after that, I want to do something further because I really wanted to be a physician assistant. But it wasn't easy because I just came to the United States and going to the community college, I would have been charged as an outstate
Absolutely.
tuition as a
Yes.
non-resident. So
Yes.
what I did, I kept taking class that right now helped me because I took some non-credited class that I transfer right now to credited by taking them and do it by credit by exam. So it wasn't wasting my time because those classes I need them to get transferred not let next year to the
Absolutely.
physician assistant program.
Yay program. Yes.
So everything I'm doing right now, it's for my community, for my family, it's for myself, and it's for my country. So I'm really, really happy to be there and to talk about my journey. Right now, I am pursuing an associate degree in allied health and medical assisting, where I will be probably in the future shadowing a doctor and myself in the far future becoming a physician assistant. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Well, so listen, what keeps you motivated? What kept you motivated those first few weeks that you got here? What were you telling yourself? What was going through your head? What was keeping you moving, Ruth? What was keeping you moving?
I am from a country where people think as an immigrant, especially during that time, that all our immigrants are criminals and we are not good, we are good for nothing. So I have to prove everyone that we have a lot of immigrants who got their um education back home. They just come here to do something for their life, for their family. What keeps me motivated? It's my family, my dad and my mom. She passed away from cancer, but I want to do something for women in the healthcare field. And this is the thing that kept me motivated because I want to prove anyone that not all our immigrants are here are good for nothing. We are
Amen.
here to do something really good for ourselves and for the community. So I am really honored to do that.
Absolutely, you are. You are. Listen, what advice would you give to a student just arriving, an
Mhm,
immigrant student like
mhm,
yourself,
mhm.
arriving? What advice would you give them as they enter into the community college system?
Well, actually, how can I say, I got three advice
Okay.
for the immigrant student, for all student, but especially for immigrant student like me. The first one is I know that we are living in a time where we might be afraid to go to school or we might be afraid to go to work because we are afraid to get deported. But let me tell you something. we have things that are under our control, and the immigration stuff, it's not under our control. We can do anything with that. But what we can do, we can go to school and have some education. As Dr. Martin Luther King always say, knowledge is power. So we are worried about things that not it might not happen in the future. What will happen if you in the future you will say that, oh, I should have done that because I was afraid. It's better to have regret. So go to school. I know it's not easy, even for me, but go to school, go to work, do the right thing, do what you have to do. Because the education that you are receiving right now, this is that education that will open the door of success for you. And my second advice is take your time, do not rush, because I know that we want to do something to have quick money. And as someone told me before, just go to work and have some money just in case you get deported. No, I'm not going to do that. I will do something that I really love, that I'm really passionate in, and I'm doing it in the healthcare. So take your time, take everything you have to do. If you want to be a CNA as an immigrant, English is not your first language, go to the English class, take some English class, improve your English, and you will be amazed because you will see all of the progress that you will be making. And my last advice as a student who are like, how can I say that? I'm from a country where if you want to do something, you just have to do it. You don't have any counselor. And when I just arrived to the United States, the counselor and advisor stuff amazed me because we have people who can help us. So what I'm going to say, it's personally for my fellow immigrant from Haiti. Seek for advice. I remember my late mother always told me, um, go talk to someone. They talk to people. They might not have to give material thing to you, but they have a word that can change your life. And this is what I have done before. Seek for his advice. You will find someone who will help you, will guide you through your journey. This is my advices. Thank you.
You are amazing. We are so proud of you. This community stands not just with you, but behind you. We got you, Ruth. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to wrap it up and turn it over to my brother, Carl, who is Kemp, who's going to take us to the next section. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you so much.
Let me just say, fantastic student. Great, great. I mean, listen, it's a reason why Haiti was the first peoples to have enslaved Africans overthrow their oppressors here in the New World, defeating the greatest general of all time with ease, so much that he decided he wasn't going to try again. And the independence and strength and power that you represent, Ruth, I used it in the pregame. You have an aura and so much good information. I will not be forgetting that discussion soon. And especially speaking out on behalf of our Black immigrant students. People have a sort of compartmentalized understanding of what an immigrant student is. And even here at Long Beach City College, we have many fantastic immigrant students, but one of my favorite is a sister by the name of Shamanique Harris from Jamaica, who has a 4.0, is getting a full ride to Coppin State just based on her excellence. And she reflects all the things that you say. I am inspired by you. I might even go back to school and get my PhD as I've been pushed by Dr. Curry to do, but I don't know. I don't think so. With that, I want to move into our new panel. We have a great discussion of powerful industry executives that represent healthcare, IT, and the construction trades. You see their good-looking faces there. First up is Dr. S. Rashid Muller, cybersecurity scholar and practitioner and CEO of CyberWatch Technologies, LLC. Next, we have Sarah Pretanville. I want to make sure I'm saying that right. I may not have, but I apologize. Charge it to my head, not my heart. She is the director of nursing and clinical services at San Ysidro Health and the San Diego PACE program. And last but not least is Dr. Brandon Roderick Tucker, the executive vice president of instruction at Washtenaw Community College. Let's get into it.
Well, good afternoon again.
Give us the
and
first
thank
question.
you all. Yeah, thank you all so much. I have the first question, and Sarah, I'm going to come right to you. Let's
All right.
start with your story. What
Okay.
inspired what inspired you to enter your industry, and what has your journey been like as a Black professional rising to executive leadership? Sarah?
So I think a couple of things are very important to know. I am the seventh of 10 children, and there's a lot that comes with that. I am sure that you can imagine social determinants of health impacted the way that we lived. So, food insecurity, clothing insecurity, housing insecurity, all of the things. And then, of course, drugs entered my family, and we lost my father. And so I shouldn't say, of course, as though that's expected, but that's something that we experienced. And so we had, social dynamics as a result of that, that really kind of led us through that pipeline that I just shared with you. Education was not anything that was ever expected in my family. No one had gone to college. And so for me, graduating from high school at 16 years old, it was really important for me to pursue education. The only person that I knew was a woman in my neighborhood who she had a really nice car. She had a four-door Honda Accord. I'll never forget her. I was 12 years old, walking to sixth grade here in San Diego, and I asked her what she did for a living, and she said, "Oh, honey, I'm a nurse." And I said, I'm going to be a nurse when I grow up. So representation matters, y'all. Representation matters. And so essentially, what happened was I graduated at 16 and I had a lot of family barriers. My family did not want me to go to college. Oh, is there static from my microphone? I just saw someone put that in the chat. Can you all hear me clearly or no? Okay. So in keeping with that, I started at community college. I went to Cuyamaca College and Grossmont College. Ruth, a lot like you, I have known and learned every community college in this area. Ended up transferring. I graduated from San Diego City College with 3 associate's degrees, biology, liberal arts, and social work. Was accepted in a bridge program, Bridges to the Future, to SDSU. Completed that program. Ended up getting a bachelor's degree in health sciences and registered nursing. Got accepted to a post-bac program fellowship at Harvard Medical School, where my mentors brought me through and offered me support and assistance, wrote my letters of recommendation because I had been consistent. And then wrapping up, I went back to SDSU to get my master's degree in epidemiology and public health. So now I have this really well-rounded background of social determinant social work. I have nursing. I have, biostatistics through epidemiology. And so I'm able to combine all of that to see, what's happening in our communities and to really create change. So that's my story.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Dr. Tucker.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Brandon Tucker, I bring you greetings from the great state of Michigan. I think I'm one of the only non-California people on here. But my dad lived in LA for 26 years of my life. So I learned how to drive on a 110 at 16. So I spent every summer in Cali for 10 years of my life. I hail from Michigan. I live in Ohio. I have the pleasure of serving as our executive vice president for instruction, overseeing all of our academic areas here at the college. $60 million budget, 1,000 staff. But I'll tell you, I'm the product of a high school counselor saying that you should not go to school. You should go do something with your hands because you're not smart enough. And so I am the product of those negative things that were said, but the product of a lot of people, much like that are on this Zoom webinar today, that were there to push me and encourage me. My career started in government. I have an HR degree, undergrad, a master's in organizational leadership, and a PhD in higher ed. And so I started in HR doing recruiting for the county, but was making good money. As my grandfather said, I had a good government job, but I was not fulfilling my purpose. And so I left early in my 20s to become a director at a nonprofit, an urban league, if you're familiar with those, running workforce programs. And really, for 3 years, was able to give back to the community that raised me, to help people that had a felony because they owe child support and couldn't get a job because in Ohio, they take away your license if you have a felony for child support. So that whole cycle of being in the system. And then primarily mothers who were aging off of assistance to be able to help them get a skill, to get them a career that they could sustain their families, and then moved over to higher ed, which I've been for the last 14 years. And I call my job as our chief uh, partnership officer. So I'm just the connector to partner people with opportunity and promise, and to make sure that every employer in our area knows that we have the best graduates that they need to hire upon graduation. So happy to be here. I know it's much warmer and there's some beaches where you're at, but I hopefully can share some knowledge for our time together, and glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tucker. Dr. Muller.
Okay. Okay. I guess I'm on mute now, off of mute now. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope all is well. I have ties to San Diego because that was my first duty station right out of high school. Went to San Diego State, had a whole bunch of fun there, did ROTC there, with the Grossmont Community Colleges. I was pledging to Omega my freshman year of college, and then all the classes I failed while I was pledging, went back to Grossmont to make the classes up. Right. So, so hey, okay, all right, there you go. So anyway, all right, all that good stuff. Good to see the brothers represented. Sigma Gamma Rose, good to see you. So long story short, for me, military was my thing, right? And so, I'm glad you put my stuff up there. I run my own company, but I still work for the government in the intelligence community. I've been in the intel community all of my life, right out of high school, even through coming back from Iraq in '91. Did ROTC at San Diego State. So, I mean, I'm a CIA guy who has pivoted to NSA, and I worked across all the different sectors doing different things in uniform and still outside of uniform, right, as a senior executive in the government. So, for me, as I shared, I'm in the IC, so your taxpayer dollars keep intelligence officers intelligent. So with that, hey, the government is paid for. I have 10 degrees. So I have 2 bachelors, 5 masters, and 3 doctorates. So, that's where your taxpayer dollars are going. You can click on my link and just kind of see. Someone said the Qs don't graduate. Well, I proved them wrong, right? We all got that little moniker like, oh, they just pledged it. I'm like, not this one. So I carry enough weight for all of my line brothers and my chapter and all that good stuff, right? At San Diego State. So for me, coming into the area that I've done, again, it was really a government service. And so, wow, for me, I just wanted to, eventually when I retire, I'm going to come into academia, right? But I've had the pleasure of teaching at the National War College, and also at National Intelligence University here in the DMV, which is DC, Maryland, Virginia area for those that don't know. But right after getting commissioned, I got here to DC and really deployed from here many numerous times, but always kept education as a background. So eventually when I retire and, I'm gonna come back, I may come back to Cali, right? I did my program up at UC Berkeley, with the higher education leadership place up there with Josephine Baltadano at UC Berkeley. Really, really good program up there for higher education leadership. So that's how I got here, long story short. So a lot of a good friend, Michael Marion, from my chapter, he's the one that referred me here. He got his doctorate degree at USC after he left San Diego State, played basketball there. So, I mean, here I am. I'm ready to serve, here to help anybody who needs some help, and tell you how to run the game.
Thank you so much for that, Doctor. And you take intelligence to, a whole new level, all those degrees and military intelligence. We appreciate you and appreciate all that you all bring to the table as Black excellent leaders. I want to ask a question I'm going to ask you to be vulnerable. I'm going to ask you to be brief because there's some other questions, a lot of questions we want to get to, but this is a little bit self-interested and I think also gives our students a glimpse into the future. I don't think um, that the things that impact us as Black people are going to change by the time they reach your position. So let me just ask each of you, and I'm going to start with you, Sarah, if that's okay. What systemic challenges have you faced as a Black executive, and how did you overcome or navigate them? What systemic challenges did you face as a Black executive, and how did you overcome and succeed despite them?
So I am a 6 foot tall Black woman who is usually the most educated person in the room when I walk in all of these spaces. And so the biggest challenge, can you all hear me?
So it's a little bit of crispiness on the microphone, but we're powering through it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I changed it up. I tried. I essentially learning how to navigate the space on the prize always, and figuring out how to articulate what needs to be said for the audience that I'm speaking to so that I can get to the outcome of interest. So overcoming what they perceive when I walk in the room has been the biggest challenge, but figuring out how to communicate effectively to navigate that space because nothing's going to stop me.
Thank you for that. Dr. Tucker, same question.
I think for me, I have consistently been the youngest person in the room. I made my first deanship at 30, my first associate vice president role at 35. And now, of course, been in my role now for 2 years and took over somebody that was at least 20 years older than me. So for me, I've always been the youngest, but oftentimes most educated person and experienced in the room, much like what Sarah's speaking about. I think it's knowing whose you are, right? And my faith lends me to believe that I know at the end of the day, I've got someone higher than any of the stuff that I'm dealing with, any of the rooms I'm entering into, that can create favor for me as I walk in and as I occupy that space. So for me, it's recognizing who I belong to and knowing that the ancestors fought for me to get in the room, and that because I'm in the room, I got a responsibility to advocate for everybody that will never be in the room because of opportunity.
Thank you. Dr. Muller.
Uh, ditto, same as everything that Brandon said. I'm 6'2", so same thing that Sarah offered, right? And then for me, often the only Black person, right? Because I shared that I was in the intel space and then I was special operations on active duty. So, not that many Blacks, swim and survived EOD training and, and was deployed around the globe. And so my experiences often bring me to those challenges, of course. And listen, I'm light skinned, right? But often be the darkest person in the room. So I'm an intimidating guy. So I think sometimes just being quiet and listening and observing, people will naturally fear you, right? And they were like, oh my goodness, what is he gonna say? And so, being in the military for 37 years and then pivoting over 27 years and then pivoting over to the government, on the civilian side, pretty much doing the same thing, running mission around the globe. Um, Often just being the Black guy, right? So, it's you got the clearances, you've done the mission, and when they look at you, they just like, wow, okay. And then when they read the background and they like, okay. So, it's hard to say, and having to again do twice as much as my father was telling me, you got to do twice as much to get half of what they got, right? And so, if you're going to have an addiction, mine is an education, right? So it might as well be, something that's productive. And then on top of that, just leveraging, going back and the mentoring. So I've had some great mentors, and then people have reached, and so I reached back and mentor as well. And not just people of color, right? I'll also say that because, you know, you'll get credibility by mentoring someone who doesn't look like you, right? You keep your folks, right? But you got to grab one, right? Because you got to have a mouthpiece. You got to play this game smartly, all right? As you kind of moving up these executive ladders, I've had women mentors, I've had white, black, Chinese, right? You know what I mean? You got to diversify. You got to play the game smartly and intelligently.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tips and tricks, and I'm glad that, and I know you have a wealth of them as, the intelligence agent that you are, and I'm glad that you touched on mentorship. And I just want to circle back to what Ruth said. I don't think that just applies to students. I think, students, as you become Black executives, I can say for myself, I'm BSU till the day I die. I'm Black Student Union till the day I die. So whenever I get anywhere, I look for the Black people and I talk to the Black people and ask for what's the lay of the land. And it's a mixed bag what you get, you never know. It'd be your own people sometime. But like you said, ask folks for input no matter what they look like, but for where they are and what they stand for, to Ruth's point. Dr. English, next question, please, sir.
Thank you, Carl. I'm going to go to that next question, and I'll come to Dr. Tucker. How did mentorship influence your career? And what advice do you have for students looking to find and build strong mentoring relationships?
I've been a product of amazing mentors, and I tell everybody who's listening today, you cannot thrive and grow without having good mentors. I'm really blessed. My college president right now has mentored me and is mentoring me to the presidency. She made that commitment 10 years ago. And so I am fortunate to have somebody who I report to now. At the time, I think I was a director that is intentionally providing me opportunities that can elevate my career. But then also, and she's white, she's Italian, she's not black. But I also have black men and women presidents that are mentors. That and I think sometimes we think that mentorship has to be one person. No, you can have a dozen mentors because you tap into them for different things. And so I need people of color that look like me that are where I want to go and can help me get there. So I've got a handful of presidents that are also mentors. I think that know that you can have multiple mentors and know that mentorship is not an option. It's a requirement. You have to have someone that can help you get to where you're trying to go.
Thank you. Sarah?
I can't emphasize exactly what Dr. Roderick Tucker said enough. Mentorship will help you learn the communication. Can you all hear me? I'm trying this, guys. Okay. I disconnected. I came back, so hopefully.
Butter.
But the biggest things that I learned are that what's unique about us as Black professionals in the healthcare space is that we have the responsibility and the added pressure of advocating because there aren't that many of us in the room. So we have to have mentors. And one of the women that kicked down the doors for me was a white Italian woman, kicked down the doors. And she introduced me to everyone that I needed across the board. And now it's my responsibility and my honor to be a mentor to students as well, because it's my responsibility to create the next generation of healthcare healers. That's my goal. So everything that I do is around that passion. And that means that I'm the director of nursing. It means that I'm all of these things. So the relationships that you build must be authentic, based on your passion, and you need to stay focused while still being reciprocal, because not everyone has your exact same passion. But if you want them to support you in the future, you have to find a way to also authentically support them in their goals and their roles.
And for you, Dr. Muller, you touched on it a little bit, but can you double down?
Absolutely. So, in the IC, we have met for leadership as part of our leadership requirements. You have to have mandatory mentoring sessions. And what I would offer is to this discussion to kind of just build off what be specific. If you want a mentor, I tell them, what do you want from me, right? Be specific and what do you expect, right? Because maybe you may make sure that I mentor somebody that I have what you need. I'm not just going to be your mentor because I got these degrees or I'm in this position. Tell me what you want from me. And so let's establish a mentoring relationship, right? Because, you know, you're not going to get along with everybody, you know, and you know, we're not going to Joe Clark this, you know, all the time either. Like, you know, I'm not going to force myself on you as well. So, you know, when it comes to mentoring, look for good fits, but also, you know, as a mentee, be prepared to put in some work. Be prepared to be mentored because some people don't like to be mentored, right? So, you know, we have training that says, okay, if you want a mentor, you got to do this, and this. And these are the questions we expect you to ask your mentor. And let's talk about setting up some times, and it needs to be structured. Loose, I mean, there's different types of mentoring. Like I mentor young students. You know, my son is 9, so you know, I coach his basketball team. I take the Boy Scouts, but there, when it comes to professional mentoring, it needs to be on a professional basis. And that person needs to tell me what they want from me and clearly list what their expectations are.
What a powerful panel. What powerful advice. I wish we had more time to hear from you. I may be seeking you out to be my mentor. I used to tell folks, if you want the hookup, you got to be hook upable and you got to have a hitch. So students, young executives, new executives who are not young like myself, when we're looking for mentors, heed this advice, look at these examples. Panelists, thank you so much for your representation of Black excellence for our students during Black Student Success Week, but more importantly, thank you for your representation of Black excellence every single day in your roles. We appreciate your time. We're going to move on to the next part of the program. You guys have a beautiful day.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much.
All right, well, thank you so much to our guest speakers. I do want to wrap it up by letting you all know that Mondays and Tuesdays webinar resources are now available on Linktree. We'll be uploading them daily, so check that out for the recording and resources. They'll be there as well. Next, I want to give you a reminder that tomorrow's webinar is putting the African and African American success. So please be here. Learn more about the African Diaspora Education Summit, the African-centered education, and how faculty are activating what they learn to create Black-serving classrooms and institutions. Also, you can scan the QR code to visit blackstudentsuccess.com to register. And if I can leave you with one final thought, knowing that not one circumstance defines us, we know that we have the strength, the faith, and the ability to achieve whatever we want to. So even though you may be stumbling at some point, just know that in the middle of every challenge, there's an opportunity. And last but not least, we know that tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. So let's continue to activate and walk in our faith because our ancestors are here with us and we can do whatever we want. All right. So enjoy. We love y'all. We will see you tomorrow. Take care and stay united, everybody.
Oh